Hey guys, it's Emma and welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to be doing my May wrap up. So the month of May was actually my best reading month of the year so far, and I read 11 books. Most of those were ebooks or audiobooks. I read like 2 audiobooks, but I do have 4 that I read physically that I have here. No spoilers. But yeah, so I am going to be referring to my bullet journal to like look at ratings and what I read, because 11 books is kind of a lot to remember. So if you see me looking down, that's what I'm doing. So I'm going to be going in the order in which I read them, and we'll just get started. So the first book that I read in May was Birthday by Meredith Russo, and this is an arc that was so wonderfully given to me by Flatiron Books for winning a giveaway from Alexa Loves Books channel. I really enjoyed this book. I came into it with sort of like not knowing a lot about it. I just saw the giveaway and I read the summary at the time, but I didn't remember it that well, if that makes any sense. It was during like pre-finals and stuff, so like thesis and a lot of stuff going on. But either way, this story follows Morgan and Eric, and it follows them at each point of their birthday from the time they're 13 to the time that they're 18 years old. And I mean, like, it kind of gives away a little bit in this like cover, because it says like a love story 18 years in the making, but honestly it's so much more than that. So basically, Morgan has always thought of herself as a girl, even though she was born as a boy, and she just wants to be a girl. But living in a southern town, I forget where they live exactly, Tennessee, something like that. Living in a southern town, it's not really expected, and it's very expected that she play football and be a man and do all those things, and so she feels really like not validated in her feelings, and like that it's crazy or it's weird or gross the way she's feeling, which I mean, I can't relate, but like I feel like this is such a good book, and it is Own Voices, so I feel like it'd be such a good book. And I've only read one other book featuring a transgender main character, which was Luna, and I read that when I was like 13 or something, so I don't really remember it, but I don't know if it holds up the test of time or anything. I don't know if it was Own Voices, but I can say that this was so well written, and I could just see that it was so thought out. And there's definitely a lot of trigger warnings. Please check my Goodreads review. I'll link my Goodreads down below for all of the trigger warnings, but there was like misgendering, transphobia, homophobia, parental abuse, a lot of different things, death of a parent. So yeah, this was just so much more than just like a love story, and that isn't even like the main focus really. Like, it's part of it, but like, I don't know. I feel like I'm not explaining this book well enough, but I also don't want to be here talking for 5 minutes about one book when I've read 11. But I really liked what Lala said about this in her wrap-up, so I'm going to link Lala's video down below if you want to hear more about this book. But yeah, this was also the first arc that was ever sent to me, so this is just has a really special place in my heart, and I loved it so much, and I gave it 4 stars. The next book I do not have physically. I read it on ebook, and that is Prince Charming by Rachel Hawkins. And this, guys, was my first 5-star book of the year. Yep, all the way to May for my first 5-star book. Book number 17 of the year. But yeah, Prince Charming follows our main character, who I'm forgetting her name, but she's so witty and funny. And basically, her sister is about to marry the Prince of Scotland. So when something goes down that sort of like it's like a bad tabloid moment basically, she has to go to Scotland to try to like smooth things over and like show that she can like be in the spotlight. This book was just everything. Our main character, like I said, was so witty and funny. I found myself laughing out loud so many times, and the romance in here was beautiful, and the end was literally like a John Hughes movie, and I loved it. So yeah, this needs to be turned into a movie, because It was actually everything, and I cannot wait to read Her Royal Highness, but my library does not have it. The Libby does not have it. No one has it, so I might have to buy it. But I also got yelled at for putting in a thrift books order, so I don't know. Okay, the third book that I read in May was Clockwork Angel by Cassandra Clare, and I did annotate this. I don't know if you can see that. Yeah. This was my least favorite Cassandra Clare book I've read so far. This is my first time reading the series, by the way. I'm reading one book a month, so I will be continuing on to Clockwork Prince this month in June. But yeah, Clockwork Angel, I just felt like the beginning of this was so info dumpy about all the stuff that we basically had already learned in the first trilogy, in the first like Mortal Instruments trilogy. So I felt like it was sort of pointless, and like nothing really happened for the first half of the book, and then the romance in this book was just really weird and uncomfortable for me. Like, the guy was just a douche, frankly, and like he would have like a soft and sweet moment, and then he'd be like, no, I'm gonna be a jerk about it now. And I was not about it. So I know everyone ships this couple, but like really right now I don't like it. And I don't even know. The action in this was like, and you were like pushed into thinking one way, so there would be this huge surprise, but it really was just a really long-winded way to get to the ending. And I really felt like the first half of this book could have been cut out, frankly. Like, we didn't need to see her learning about the Shadow Underworld that we already knew. You could have just said, I gave her some books, she read them, and give me a little bit of that without giving me like 100 pages or something of like background noise, basically. Because like, yeah, I guess if you had read these when they came out and you didn't reread the Mortal Instruments or something, maybe it's because I went straight from that first trilogy to this. I just felt like it was useless, like, remembering things. Like, I didn't forget everything that happened in the first 3 books. But yeah, I know The Infernal Devices is a lot of people's favorite of the Cassandra Clare world, so I'm really hoping I like Clockwork Prince and Clockwork Princess. I did hear Murphy from Murphy Napier saying that she also didn't really love this, but then really enjoyed Clockwork Prince. So I'm hoping that that means that even if I feel like about this, because I did end up giving this 3 stars, that I will enjoy the rest of the series. Okay, so the next book I already donated, which tells you how much I hated it. But that was The Merlin Prophecy, which is the first graphic novel in the Avalon High graphic novel set. It's just a little bit random, but Avalon High is one of my favorite Disney Channel movies, and so when someone was getting rid of books and I saw an Avalon High book in it, I grabbed it. Like, did I know what this specific graphic novel was? No, but I wanted it. But this graphic novel was just so not the movie, and like so bad and so like angsty love. I hated it. Oh my gosh, I hated it so much. And like, it was literally like, it took me like 15-20 minutes to read. Like, it was so short and there was nothing there, and I didn't realize it was like a series like that was like long. So I think this actually, like, Avalon High was actually a book by Meg Cabot, and then she made this graphic novel series after. So maybe I would like the book better, but I also don't know if the ending, I'm not going to spoil it, because if you haven't seen Avalon High, you have to watch it now. Basically, the major plot point was different. So I don't know if that was coming up in the later graphic novels, but I will not be reading this because I gave this a 1.5 star. Go to my Goodreads if you want to see my whole rant review. So the next book I also read on ebook, and this was something that I had started like a few months ago, but I just lost the ebook and then I had to wait for it to come back from Libby, and that is I'm gonna make sure I don't mess it up. And Every Morning the Way Home Gets Longer and Longer by Frederick Bachman. This came highly recommended by Murphy Napier. I'm gonna link her channel because I mentioned her twice now. But basically, this is just about this older man who is coming to grips with his dementia and like losing his memories, and talking to his grandson and his son about it. And the imagery in this book was just so beautiful, and like the metaphors. I have never dealt with anyone who has dementia. Like, no one in my family has lived long enough basically to have dementia. Sorry, that was really dark, but true. But yeah, so I don't know much about it, to be honest, but I thought this book was really beautiful, and it was super short read. It was like 100 pages or less. But yeah, I ended up giving it 4 stars. The next book that I read physically, or that I finished, is Skyward by Brandon Sanderson. So I actually picked this up on ebook first months and months ago, but then my ebook ran out when I was like 67% through or whatever. So then I waited, and then I waited, and then I realized I had a $10 Amazon gift card, and this was on sale for $10.80. I think it still is, so that's a great deal for a hardback. But yeah, so I got it, and then I read it, and it was great. I ended up giving it 4.5 stars. I think that honestly is just because I read it like segmented like that with so many months in between. But this story is the first ever sci-fi I think I've read, at least recently. But this follows our main character Spencer, whose dad is like famous for being like a coward. That's what I'm looking for. A coward who ran away in this fight. And so she's been branded with this like coward gene, and everyone thinks she's just gonna run away, so they're not even gonna let her into the like flight academy or whatever. But long story short, girl gets in, though. And it is just so amazing to see this relationship and I love the small group of characters that we follow. Well, we follow from Spencer's point of view, but we meet all these characters, and I loved all of them. And then there's a really funny AI that comes into play that is amazing, and I loved so much. And there was even like, I'm not gonna be able to find them now, but there's like drawings in here, and like, I didn't even know. It's really cool. There's like this, and basically, I don't know. I feel like this is a great introduction to sci-fi if you haven't read it, because that's how it felt for me. It also gave me a lot of Star Wars vibes, which I love Star Wars, so I was happy about that. And basically, this was just amazing, and I loved it very much. Okay, the next book I read was Long Way Down by Jason Reynolds, which I gave 5 stars, and I loved. It's just about, I loved is sort of a hard word because it's a really hard hitting thing. It is written in prose, and it is this black kid whose brother was just shot and killed the day before, I think, and he is going down an elevator to basically kill his brother's killer. And at every floor, the elevator opens, and basically a ghost from his past comes in and talks to him. Now, I know a lot of people were like, I don't know how I feel about the ending, because there's not really a conclusion. It just sort of stops. But I thought this was so beautiful, and I highly recommend the audiobook. I got it through Libby, the library app, and hearing Jason Reynolds speak and do his poetry was just so beautiful and so moving. I don't know how to say this well, but I really appreciated trying to get into that mindset, because clearly I have not dealt with the things that they are talking about, but I thought that it was a beautifully written, very well written, and just amazing. So as I said, I gave that 5 stars. So then I instantly went on and got the audiobook For Everyone, which is also by Jason Reynolds and is also written in poetry. And I think this was originally like a speech or like slam that he gave at some sort of event. I'm forgetting because he said it in the like acknowledgements or whatever. But it was really good. It was like it was an empowering sort of speech about, you know, following your dreams and like doing what you want and what's gonna make you happy. Yeah, it was great. I gave it 3.5 stars. It just didn't have the powerful punch that Long Way Down did, but not everything is gonna be that way. My foot is falling asleep. Okay. The next book that I read was Red, White, and Royal Blue. Red, White, and Royal Blue by Casey McQuiston. As most of everyone else read in May, I was lucky enough to go on my library book the minute they added it, so I was actually the first person in line for the ebook, so I got to read it, and it was great. This, I'm sure all of you know what it is, but it's a new adult romance following the first son of the United States of a female president and the Prince of England in a male-male romance, and it was great. It was a lot smuttier than I was expecting, and it kind of caught me off guard. Yeah, so frankly it was probably a good, because I'm doing Smutathon right now and I'm about to read smutty books, which I've never done before. Like Red, White, and Royal Blue was the first ever smutty book that I've read, so yeah. Yeah, I gave it 4.5 stars. I liked it. It just took me a little bit to get into it, so that was the half star there I knocked off. But yeah, it was pretty good. I don't know what else to say. And the last book, which is kind of like 4 books, so I'm proud of myself for still getting to a... Wait, I like literally did not write a book in here. Oh no, I just skipped it. Never mind. Before I get to Priory, I also read Every Heart a Doorway by Shannon Maguire. Everyone's been talking about the Wayward Children series for years, so I'm sure you guys have all heard about it. But basically it's about these portal worlds that these kids get sucked into. And I thought this book was really good. I ended up giving it 4 stars. It just took me a little bit, along with our main character, to sort of understand all the different directions, because they talk about these logic worlds and why am I losing my head? Like, I'm literally losing my train of thought so often. The like candy cane sort of happy worlds, those kinds of worlds, that's directions, and like there's all these other different ones, and it was just like kind of hard to understand what that meant at first. I mean, you sort of get a hold of it as you go into the book, but also since it's 170 pages, I felt like a lot of the book I was trying to understand it. There's also the murder mystery aspect, which was like good. It was okay. I'm excited to see a book without that aspect, but yeah. So I gave it 4 stars. I don't really have a lot to say about it. It was good. I have Down Among the Sticks and Bones on hold, so I'm gonna get that in like 4 weeks, I think, from the Libby app. Now, back to Priory. So I did read Priory of the Orange Tree by Samantha Shannon. I'm sorry, this angle is changing. My foot fell asleep and I had to move it. This was really good. I think that the strongest part of the book was the first half. I loved the first 400 or so, 500 pages. I really enjoyed it. I was thinking it's a 5-star. Then we got towards the end and I wasn't feeling the romance that happened at first, though it is sapphic, so I appreciated that representation, but I just wasn't feeling it at first. The ending felt very rushed, and this huge fight scene that we're building up to, the whole 800 pages, we're building up, it felt very short, and I was like, okay, that's all you're gonna give me? Like, you built up this whole thing from this book. The whole book is building up to this one fight, and it just sort of felt like it was over very quickly. I don't know. I also like hated some of our characters. I hated Nicholas. I know he was like sort of like, you weren't meant to like him, but I like really hated him. Sort of hated Tane, I don't know how to pronounce her name. Sort of hated her. Literally Loth was like what saved it. I love Loth. And Margaret, love her. Yeah, I still don't, I was gonna say something, but I still don't know if that's, I don't know what happened at one point, if someone died or someone didn't die, so that was sort of annoying because I literally don't know if they died. But yeah, I sort of forced myself, because this was literally, I finished this at 10 o'clock at night on May 31st. So I was really forcing myself through the back end of this book to read it pretty fast, and I think I lost a little bit of enjoyment there. This is between like a 3.5 and a 4-star for me. I really liked the expansive world. I loved meeting all the characters. I liked seeing people pop back up and be like, oh, okay, this is where this is connecting to that and stuff, and the world building. Yeah, I don't know. Everyone's been talking about this, so you can sort of get more of it there. I haven't put my Goodreads review up of it because I'm still trying to figure out my thoughts on this. But yeah, those were the 11 books that I read, along with the 4 that I read physically, which I'm now going to try to hold up again. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe if you did. I'm posting on this channel on Wednesdays and Saturdays, so I hope you guys like that. I'm also participating in 3 readathons this month, so if you haven't checked out my June TBR, please click there, not here, there, to see what they are. And so you'll be getting a lot of vlogs for me reading for each of those. And yeah, bye!